Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. A former Minister of Justice and prominent Trinidadian judge, Herbert Volney, has died. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Friday, 9th December 2022. Details when we return.
Win prizes weekly with the Dutch Lady Christmas promotion. You can win hampers, kitchen appliances, and much more. Here's how to win. Visit our Facebook and Instagram pages weekly to retrieve the recipe. Follow the recipe. Submit the final dish via email at dlchristmaspromotion@gmail.com, along with proof of purchase of Dutch Lady UHT or 410 evaporated milk. Recipes will be judged based on the display. Winners will be selected each week to battle for the grand prize in a live cooking show hosted by the creative chef. Look out for the Dutch Lady Santa Claus at supermarkets island-wide. The promotion runs from November 16th to December 21st, 2022. And once again, we'd like to congratulate the winner of last year's Dutch Lady Christmas promotion, Miss Brianna Bihari. Dutch Lady Milk, proudly distributed by Hubbard's Agency.
Welcome back. Former Justice Minister and former High Court Judge Herbert Volney has passed away. His former People's Partnership Cabinet colleague, Dr. Rudal Munilal, thanked Mr. Volney for his service to Trinidad and Tobago in the judiciary, in the Parliament, and in the Cabinet. But another former Cabinet colleague, Devant Maraj, says that Mr. Volney's dismissal from the Cabinet over the Section 34 fiasco appeared to have had a serious mental and emotional impact upon him. TV6's political editor Jewel Brown reports.
A tribute to Herbert Volney from one of his former People's Partnership Cabinet colleagues, Dr. Rudal Munilal, the MP for Oropouche East, upon Mr. Volney's passing on Wednesday. Dr. Munilal, who served as Housing Minister in the PP Cabinet, said it was with a deep sense of sadness and grief that he learnt of Mr. Volney's passing and offered condolences to his wife, children, relatives and friends.
I have fond memories of Mr. Volney. I had the privilege of working as leader of government business while he served in the government. We have always enjoyed a fraternal relationship. I was always taken aback by his sense of humor. He was a colorful character, at times mercurial, but I saw in him a deep love for his country. And notwithstanding our difficult times in government and outside, we always remained in contact through social media posting.
Dr. Munilal also recalled the occasional accidental meeting with Mr. Volney.
We are grateful for his service to the country by way of the judiciary and the Parliament and the Cabinet. May his soul rest in peace.
Former Transport Minister Devant Maraj said Mr. Volney was, quote, always a quick wit, end quote, and added he often painted himself as the custodian of Catholic values in Cabinet and representing those with mixed heritage, as he was equally proud of his Dominican roots. However, in referencing Mr. Volney's dismissal from the Cabinet in 2012 over the Section 34 fiasco, Mr. Maraj said, quote, that seemed to have had a serious mental and emotional impact upon him as his political focus evolved into a singular bitterness that appeared to consume his latter years, end quote. Mr. Maraj noted that Mr. Volney styled himself as a political expert following his political demise, often making news with wild allegations or political positions. In December last year, Mr. Volney posted a video on his Facebook page of himself at a beach at a time when going to the beach was banned under COVID-19 public health regulations, something he criticized the Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley about.
Fortunately for me, I'm one of those who can afford to pay to come in the seawater, and there's not one damn thing that you can do about it. So eat your heart out, Keith Christopher Rowley.
In 2012, when Dr. Rowley was the opposition leader, he, along with trade union leaders, led a massive demonstration through the streets of Port of Spain against the Section 34 fiasco, something that caused the end of Mr. Volney's career in frontline politics. Mr. Volney was a former High Court judge who resigned from the bench and entered the political arena in 2010 when he contested and won the St. Joseph seat for the UNC, which led the People's Partnership that won that year's general election. He was appointed Minister of Justice on May 28, 2010, in the cabinet of then Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar, but she would eventually fire him from the cabinet on September 20, 2012, over the early proclamation and subsequent repeal of Section 34 of the Administration of Justice Indictable Proceedings Act. On May 20, 2014, Mr. Volney apologized to the then Attorney General, Anand Ramlogan.
Let me make it abundantly clear to all that I take full responsibility for Section 34. I was the line minister at the Ministry of Justice.
And while contributing to the debate on a motion on loss of confidence in the government, on May 21, 2013, Mr. Volney admitted that he made an error in the case of Brad Boyce, which he had presided over while he was a judge. Mr. Volney would eventually resign from the UNC in July 2013. On September 9, 2013, the St. Joseph seat was declared vacant. Terence Dial Singh won the seat for the PNM in that year's by-election and would eventually go on to become the health minister after the PNM won the 2015 general election. Mr. Volney did not contest the by-election he essentially triggered and would later go on to form his own political party in 2017. The Express newspaper reports that Mr. Volney died at 7:45 a.m. on Wednesday. The cause of death is not immediately known, but that he suffered with heart disease and underwent heart surgery in 2010, and at the time of his death, he was 69 years old. Jewel Brown, TV6 News.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. In the meantime, two senior counsels who served as lead counsel representing the state of Trinidad and Tobago in the lawsuit filed against it by King's Counsel Vincent Nelson have essentially resigned from the matter as they have returned their briefs. In making the announcement, the Attorney General announced that a King's Counsel from the UK is to be appointed as the state's lead counsel in the matter. Jewel Brown reports.
Bearing his signature, Attorney General Reginald Amor. In a statement bearing his signature, Attorney General Reginald Amor thanked Senior Counsel Douglas Mendez and Senior Counsel Gilbert Peterson for the skill, professionalism, and value which they have brought to defending the matter of Vincent Nelson versus the Attorney General, before announcing they have returned their briefs. The matter Attorney General Amor referred to involves the lawsuit filed against the state by King's Counsel Nelson over an alleged breach of a 2017 indemnity agreement which occurred when Rural Development and Local Government Minister Faris Al-Rawi was the Attorney General. The Attorney General then said that the decision of Senior Counsel Peterson and Senior Counsel Mendez, which was finally communicated on Tuesday and after earlier consultation with him to return their briefs as lead counsel in this matter, coincided with his own thinking that in the interest of justice it was appropriate and prudent to retain other lead counsel unconnected in any way with the events which give rise to these proceedings. The Attorney General also said he saluted them for their exceptional leadership and professionalism. The AG then advised that King's Counsel Mr. Kennedy Talbot of the UK Bar will shortly be called to the local bar to represent the Office of the Attorney General of Trinidad and Tobago to lead Trinidad and Tobago Junior Counsel previously retained for the Attorney General. The AG said King's Counsel Talbot's areas of practice include government and police investigations and civil fraud, tracing and property claims. The AG said the King's Counsel will be assuming the leadership of an exceptionally strong defense and counterclaim in these proceedings. Mr. Amor said that the case management hearing in this matter was adjourned to the 12th of December 2022, when attorneys for the claimant and the Attorney General will assist the judge in managing dates and timelines for the earliest hearing and determination of this case. Also scheduled to be heard then is the claimant's application to unseal the file in this matter. In March 2020, the Express newspaper reported that fines totaling $2.25 million had been imposed on King's Counsel Nelson after he pleaded guilty in June of 2019 to 2 corruption charges. On October 10th of this year, Director of Public Prosecutions and Senior Counsel Roger Gaspard discontinued the case against Senior Counsel and former Attorney General Anand Ramlogan and former Opposition Senator Joel Ramdeen, mainly because of the unwillingness of Mr. Nelson to testify against them at that time. On October 10th, Attorney General Amor said this was a stunning development and surprise, more so as the DPP's decision is said to be predicated upon the indication by the state's witness, Mr. Nelson, that he does not intend to give evidence pending the determination of civil proceedings he brought in the High Court against the state of Trinidad and Tobago. In a statement issued on Wednesday, Shogunus West MP Dinesh Rambali said on behalf of the opposition, quote, "Never in the history of our republic have 2 senior counsel removed themselves from representing the state in legal proceedings. No doubt taxpayers will now be further burdened with wasted legal costs," end quote. Mr. Rambali called on Senior Counsellor Moore and Mr. Alrawi to tender their resignations immediately. Jewel Brown, TV6 News.
Minister of Foreign Affairs in the Bahamas, Fred Mitchell, attended the Cuba CARICOM Summit in Barbados. More in this ZNS News item.
And it's said to be the most enduring trade embargo in modern history, stretching all the way back to 1962. But Cuba is by no means the only ones rebuking the decades-old policy that prevents American businesses, as well as those organized under U.S. law, from conducting trade with Cuban interest. Long condemning the move is the Bahamas, with Foreign Affairs Minister, the Honorable Fred Mitchell, today reminding delegates attending the Cuba CARICOM Summit in Barbados that the policy is not only wrong, but it is causing harm, and as such, should not be supported, but rather refused.
In our discussions with our American friends, we've made the point to them that there is a particular problem whenever these measures that they seek to implement on a bilateral basis against Cuba causes a security problem for the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, because it forces people to flee their own country, and they end up very often as refugees in the Bahamas. And this causes political problems in the South, in South Florida, which has often led to the physical attack of our consular services in Miami, in the city of Miami. So we've asked them, and we continue to ask them, to change the policies.
The Metropolitan Archbishop of Castries in St. Lucia, the Most Reverend Gabriel Malzer, is appealing to parents to instill wholesome family values and respect for life in children to mitigate the incidence of violence on St. Lucia. The Archbishop addressed a stadium packed with Roman Catholics at a synod held this past weekend. Gina Felipe of HTS News Force reports.
He urged households to return to prayers and family values to help raise model citizens.
For too long, we have given up on our children, even to the point that we are creating monsters out of them. We have become more concerned about what rights we have without the corresponding responsibilities. Brothers and sisters, this is not going to work. It is not going to work. Rights without responsibilities are not going to work.
Malzer also blamed parents for the exhibition of poor conflict resolution skills, which he says breeds rebellious and insubordinate youth.
In our schools, teachers and principals are not able to correct children anymore because parents encourage them to be defiant and disobedient. And when correction does take place, we go to the school to physically fight or take the school to court. Then after we have created the monsters, we wonder why our crime situation is so high.
The Archbishop called for Christians to unite to rebuild a stronger church.
We all must put our shoulders to the wheel on the strict divine guidance and work towards that church which God wants for us. Everyone wants to be part of a winning institution, a life-giving church. But for this to happen, no one must exclude him or herself. Everyone has a part to play in the building of the church for the future. Therefore, let us not expect to have the ideal church, the ideal archdiocese, while we ourselves are standing outside.
The leader of the local Catholic Church also presented his vision for the church in St. Lucia and his pastoral plan for the year 2023 at the rally. Gina Filippi, HTS News Force.
The Food Fair Shop and Win promotion is back, better than ever. We are giving away $30,000 in prizes with the promotional activities you know and love, like find the misplaced items, spin the wheel, and other exciting in-store activities. You can win hams, turkeys, vouchers, cooking gas from Sol, and lunch packages from the Creative Chef. The promotion runs from November 16th to December 23rd, 2022. Food Fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets.
I am Eddie Frederick, wishing you a restful weekend. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.